Hi, and welcome back to this series. This is part two of my JET program guide, and today I will be talking about the interview. So, this part might be more specific to Filipino applicants because I applied in the Philippines. But if you're from a different country, I think you could still get some useful tips from this video. So, I will be dividing this into four parts because I think my interview or the other stuff I did during the interview are actually in four parts. So, I will get into first the pre interview. So, what kind of email I got and what they asked me to prepare, what I prepared, and how I went back to the Philippines for this. And the second part will be about the interview, so specifically the question and answer portion with the panel. And the third part will be about the demo. So in the Philippines, we have a demo lesson. This is required of all the applicants. Every year they do this. And fourth is the exam. So there is a written test for us Filipinos. So if you're from a different country and you don't have such a thing, you are lucky. So that will be the content. So let's get into it. So when did I get my email? So when I applied, the end of the application period was around the first week of January. And I got my email around maybe third week of January, which I kind of thought was a bit quicker than I expected. But yeah, I got that email, and the email notified me that my schedule for interview is actually the next week, which is the end of January. I was still in Korea at that time. So, of course, I tried to email the embassy asking them if I can get rescheduled because actually I was going back home already, like just a little bit later than the interview date they gave me. So I was asking for some kind of reconsideration, but they gave me an email saying that they cannot change this schedule for me because of the amount of applicants. So it's either I take it or leave it. And of course, I wanted it. So I just said, okay, fine. So I had to make a big change of plans, and I decided to go back home on the day of my interview. In the email, they mentioned that there will be a demo and an interview. And one part that I missed was actually the part where they said that there is an exam. And I didn't know about it. Anyway, and they also mentioned that I could take a Japanese language test. I thought it was going to be like a written test, but actually it's just conversational, and it was going to be during the interview. So since we are doing a demo, they asked us to write a lesson plan. And also, if I wanted to use a PowerPoint, then I should also send in that PowerPoint in advance. So I decided to make my PowerPoint. So in the midst of all my crazy schedule change, I was making the lesson plan and the PowerPoint. So in a span of like 4 days, I packed up my 6 years in Korea and went back home to the Philippines. So I took a midnight flight going back to the Philippines, and I arrived in Manila on the morning of my interview. My interview was actually still in the afternoon, like around after lunch, but still I arrived morning. I went back home. I slept a little. I woke up again, ate lunch, and then went to the embassy. So pretty tight schedule. Tips for this part. So when you get the email and get the schedule, that's it. There's no changing of it. And I think even if you give all these other reasons that you might not be able to come to that interview, they might not consider it. They will just tell you to, like, hey, you have to come on this day or not. If you're applying from abroad, you have to expect that you will come back to your home country for this interview. I don't know about other countries, but in the Philippines, they were quite strict that you have to come to the embassy, you have to be there on the schedule that we gave you. When choosing a lesson for your demo, try to teach like a lesson that you are well familiar with and something you're so confident to do. Like for example, before that I was tutoring a like 6-year-old kid, and I was more exposed to like, all these children's songs like the ABCD, the fruit song, and blah blah blah. So I decided to do something on that similar route. That's why I decided to do something for like the elementary level. Also, if you're very like meticulous about your PowerPoints, then please make sure that you embed your fonts, because this has been a nightmare for me. I will get more into it during my explanation of the demo. Okay, this is the interview day. So for us Filipino applicants, please be reminded that in the premises of the embassy, your phones or other gadgets, electronics whatsoever cannot be brought in. You have to leave them back at the security guard's place. Yeah, or they have a locker there. I made the mistake of writing my notes on my phone, so I didn't get to practice my interview or whatever other stuff I wanted to say because all my notes were in my phone. So please don't make that mistake like I did. So inside the embassy, like if they're still doing the same thing for this year, they have like this one big multi-purpose hall, and it's really spacious. That's where they do the demo and the interview. And so when I went in, I saw like there's a panel, the interviewers, and I had to sit like a few meters away from them in this one chair and sit in front of them. And then, yeah, if I remember correctly, they asked me to introduce myself. And when they did, I tried to introduce myself first in Japanese. I think I even asked them, can I say it in Japanese? And they're just like, yes, please go ahead. Actually, when you are in the interview, they will ask you if you want to try speaking in Japanese, because like that's part of like the Japanese test. So if you try to put an effort and say something in Japanese, that will be like 1 point. If you are a current applicant and you're still on the application phase and you're thinking like, am I fit for this because I have no JLPT or I have no Japanese like language skills, I think it's totally fine if you're applying for the ALT position. What is important is you try to speak in Japanese. If you're wondering what I said during the interview, I will try to recreate how I did it. It went like, はじめまして。私はフィリピンから来たプリンセスアンボルです。23歳です。よろしくお願いします。Yeah, something like that. I don't remember if I said something else, but I do remember saying my name, I'm from the Philippines, and my age. So that's it. And it was pretty safe, I would say. But I think it gave me that Japanese points. So after introducing, I saw them like flipping over like what I would assume is my application form and my other documents. So they have read my statement of purpose, and the first thing they asked me is, why Japan? You were already in Korea. Why bother coming to Japan? Like you could get into a English teaching job there. I expected this. I really did. So I started off by saying that I came here in Manila just this morning for this interview. I left my life in Korea, threw out a lot of stuff. I'm very committed into getting into this. I also said that my time in Korea, that chapter, is something I'm closing. And I want this new chapter with Japan. I don't really remember much of my interview. I would be what they say is utang in Filipino. My brain is just not there, really. So tips. First, of course, please read your statement of purpose. Please remember everything you wrote there, because most of the questions they will ask you are going to come from there. They're going to try to extract more information about why you want this program and what are your motivations, etc. So the statement of purpose will help you get started on thinking what kind of questions to expect. And second tip, please practice that Japanese speech. Doesn't have to be super fancy. You don't have to do something out of your skill, just basically saying anything in Japanese is fine. I think the safest way to go about it is like just introducing yourself. Just say something very simple, just like I did. If you want my suggestion, you can take down this short self introduction that I'm about to say. You can start with konnichiwa or ohayo gozaimasu, depending on the time that you are entering the interview, and then proceed to saying your name. Watashi wa princess desu. And next, try to say your nationality. Philippine desu. And then maybe age, if you're comfortable sharing it. 24歳です. End it with a またよろしくお願いします or just よろしくお願いします. And if you want to go extra into that ending, you say 以上です. Just saying like, oh, I'm done. Yeah. It's completely fine if it's not perfect. What matters is the effort. So after the interview, they made me stand up to do my lesson. Actually, at the back, they had like a projector and my PowerPoint was already flashed there. And well, my PowerPoint, as I've said, the fonts were crazy. It went, because I used a font that's not, preset in the computer. So it changed font when it was put into a different computer. And I was so dumb, I didn't embed my fonts. But yeah, please learn from my mistake if you're more specific with your fonts, that is. My lesson was about months, and I decided to like make my students sing. And in this demo, of course, my students are the panel. Well, yeah. So I tried to make them sing. I had this song of months like January, February, March, April. Yeah, something like that. And then I was like asking them to clap and sing. And it was awkward because like I saw them, their faces were like, I was so worried if they were actually interested in what I'm doing, but like I just had to keep going because and pretend like, oh, it's okay, just keep on going. But really inside I was worried if I'm boring them to death. Okay, tips for the demo. If you want to be extra and you kind of want to copy the format of like Japanese English lessons, I would say try to do greetings like hello, and then make them like reply hello, and then ask them how are you, and then like I'm whatever, I'm fine, I'm sleepy, I'm hungry, yeah. And then like try to ask like what day is it today, or what is the date today, like. But that takes a bit of time. You have 5 minutes, so you can think about it if you want to do it, but it's an additional tip because that's what I usually do in my classes here, and I think it's pretty common around, yeah. So during your demo, the interviewers might not look too interested, but don't worry, just keep on going. You have to keep that enthusiasm, because if you're not going to keep it, then who else will? Like, if you are actually in a class and the students are not really interested, then you have to at least act like you're still like active and everything to kind of like also encourage them to be, active, like enthusiastic, happy, or whatever. If you're going for elementary, I suggest that you try to keep your English very simple and slow. You don't have to use caveman English, like removing the articles or whatever, but just keep it like still fluent, slow, and clear. If you like, also use gestures and like body language. You can find ways communicating by pairing your words with action. So the test, okay, this is something probably Filipino applicants only do, so pay attention. I didn't know there was a test, okay? Actually, they said in the email, but it was like just along with all these other smaller fonts. When you're excited, you only look at the bigger text on your email, like the schedule, the date, the time, blah blah blah. I didn't read that there was an exam, but it was there. It's there. Luckily, this exam is actually an essay type. You got questions and you answered them by writing a short essay. I think there's a word count, but I don't remember the exact number of words. But I think I at least wrote like 2 paragraphs, with like each paragraph having like 5 to 7 sentences. So that was the amount that I wrote. So they told me to wait in the library, and I was like seeing all these other applicants in front of me who are just like typing away. And I was like, oh no, I didn't know there's this part. And I'm like, I can feel that adrenaline rushing in, because I'm like, I'm suddenly stressed, and I'm like, I'm not ready for this. So I get there and they give me some instructions on how to use the computer, because apparently it's like a Japanese laptop. So you have to be a bit careful with the keyboard, because like some of the characters are in a different position. So you have like a number of questions, 7 to 10 questions there, but you only have to choose 2 questions. So trying to remember what kind of questions were there, I think they were mostly related to living in Japan, like overcoming common problems faced by expats, or like common problems you will experience in the workplace with teachers or like other staff or employees. So that was kind of the theme of this question. So one of the questions I chose was about homesickness and kind of how to overcome it. I chose that because it was something that I knew already. Like, I know what it feels like to be homesick, and what kind of things I did to overcome that homesickness. The other question I answered was probably about the workplace, like how to deal with miscommunication or with language barrier. Some tips for the exam: try to prepare answers for questions that are actually related to problems to be faced while living abroad. Please do make your research first. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of resources out there that list down the common problems of like foreigners, and maybe specifically Japan. So you can try to look at those and try to think of like, how will you overcome that? So the exam was the end of that whole interview part. Now let me give some general tips. Before the interview, please get enough sleep. I know you will feel a bit excited, a bit like nervous and everything, but please do get enough sleep before going to the interview. Do not be like me. Do not be sleep deprived like I was. Increase your chances of getting this by coming in there with full presence of mind and just this full energy to go through the whole day. So in our interviews, you are able to see the other applicants, and it can get pretty intimidating when you see your competition. But I would suggest to like just focus on yourself. I felt like I got a bit intimidated when I was seeing all the other participants trying to write their essays, but like I thought that I'm not gonna get anything out of this, just gonna do my best, and that's what I did. I tried my best on that day, and yay, it paid off. Yeah. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have extra questions, please do not hesitate to ask on the comment section. Please do ask on the comment section, because it can help maybe other people who have the same problem or the same question, and I will be replying there. So yeah, thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. The next one will be about getting shortlisted or waitlisted. Yeah. See you.